Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. In this video, I am comparing two of the arguably best premium mid-range smartphones of 2021, the Samsung Galaxy A72 and the Realme X7 Pro. Here, the Galaxy A72 is Samsung's latest premium mid-range smartphone with some high-end features, while the Realme X7 Pro is one of the most underrated phones right now. So which phone should you buy? And more importantly, which one is perfect for you? Let's find out. Okay, I will be judging these phones' designs in three aspects basically: the way it looks, how it feels, and other assorted design traits. In terms of looks, the Galaxy A72 is definitely an eye candy, especially with the pastel color options it comes in. However, it feels ever so slightly boxier. But don't get me wrong, the phone is not uncomfortable or anything, it's just that the A72 has a bigger form factor. The Realme X7 Pro, on the other hand, is a comfortable device to use. It has rounded corners that aid in the grip, but the caveat here is that it looks really ordinary, especially this mystic black color variant that I have with me. It's as if you're holding a $200 phone rather than something that costs $400. But keeping the looks and ergonomics aside, the Samsung Galaxy A72 also comes with IP67 dust and water resistance, which is something new on a non-flagship phone, thereby earning an edge in the design aspect. Likewise, upfront, both the phones offer a Super AMOLED screen with excellent color calibration and similar brightness and contrast levels. But Realme does take a win here since it comes with a flagship grade panel, which by the way is the same screen you will find on the OnePlus 8T. Therefore, not only you're getting a higher 120Hz refresh rate, but X7 Pro's display also has a slightly superior quality compared to the A72. Additionally, both phones here feature under-display fingerprint sensors, yet Realme's implementation is faster even with the animation on, while Samsung's in-display sensor is slightly slower. Realme also has a big advantage in the performance department. It features MediaTek's top-end Dimensity 1000 Plus chipset, while the A72 uses a mid-range Snapdragon 720G SoC from Qualcomm. Although Samsung has worked to improve the optimization on this phone, ultimately it is no match to Realme's excellent selection of chipset. From normal usage to gaming to benchmarks, the Realme X7 Pro is streets ahead of the Galaxy A72. Plus, the Dimensity 1000 Plus chipset is also 5G ready, which makes the X7 Pro more future-proof than the Galaxy A72. Just to show how faster the Realme X7 Pro actually is, I conducted a couple of speed tests, including app opening and multitasking tests. And in each of them, the X7 Pro outperformed the Galaxy A72 by a considerable margin. But I do have to tell you that both of them do a similar job in terms of RAM management. Both these phones can hold apps in the memory pretty well, and I have had no issues whatsoever. Now, getting to the gaming side of things, with a higher quality GPU on the X7 Pro, you will be able to get more FPS, all the while playing games in higher graphic settings. But when it comes to software, Samsung's One UI is the better Android skin, period. Realme did change the look and feel of its UI, but it's still Oppo's ColorOS in disguise. On the other hand, One UI looks much better, is simpler to use, has less bloatware, and its features like dark mode, always on display are better optimized too. Not to mention, Samsung has also promised 3 years of OS and 4 years of security updates across almost all of its devices, which Realme simply hasn't been able to match. Okay, let's get through with the cameras now. I did briefly compare these cameras in my full review of the A72, where I said that the A72 has slightly superior camera capabilities, and that still holds true. You can see that in normal daytime images, the A72 has a better dynamic range and has chosen to portray natural colors in its pictures, while Realme's photos are comparatively more saturated. On the other hand, both cameras are quite competitive in terms of details, sharpness, and the like. The wide-angle images share a similar fate as the primary ones, with the A72 having a slightly better dynamic range. Plus, it has a relatively wider field of view too, except that there is hardly anything to distinguish among them. The Galaxy A72 also has an edge when taking zoomed images, as it features a dedicated 8-megapixel telephoto lens, which the Realme X7 Pro misses out on. So naturally, the A72 has better zooming capabilities than the X7 Pro. It can shoot up to 3 times optical and 30 times digitally zoomed photos, while the X7 Pro maxes out at digital zoom up to 5 times. As far as the quality of such images goes, as you can see, it's better and sharper on the A72. Realme also struggles with the skin tone in portrait shots, as it has this red tint in the subject's skin that makes it look a little unnatural. On the contrary, Samsung tries to bring out a more natural hue. Still, subject focus and background separation are good from both the cameras, but portraits from the A72 look better most of the time. The Galaxy A72 also boasts OIS in its primary and telephoto lenses, which means that not only it is going to aid in video stabilization, it also delivers better nighttime shots. As you can see from these pictures, low-light images are better on the Galaxy A72 with better exposure and details, while the X7 Pro tends to saturate the images and are a little muddy too. With night mode turned on, Realme's images restore considerable details, but again, Samsung's images have slightly more details and are brighter too. However, because photos from the X7 Pro have a slight pop in color, most of the time it might seem like the better of the two, when in reality that is not the case. In terms of selfies too, Samsung is a bit superior. Here, the reddish tint on the X7 Pro selfies looks a bit unnatural, but details and subject focus are on point. There are instances when the X7 Pro manages to make the subject look good, but with the A72, it's almost all the time. Portrait selfies share the same story, with Realme struggling to manage skin tone properly. The blur amount and background look equally good on both the devices though. Video-wise, you can record up to 4K 60fps on the X7 Pro, while the max Galaxy A72 can hit is 4K 30fps. And despite with just EIS at work, the 4K 60fps footages from the Realme X7 Pro are quite stable. Plus, the 1080p 60fps footages are also better on the Realme X7 Pro. As for the selfie videos, the Realme X7 Pro only lets you shoot at 1080p 30fps, while the Samsung Galaxy A72 lets you bump the resolution to 4K 30fps. As far as the audio pickup is concerned, both the devices sound really good. They cancel out noise really well, but if I had to choose one, I would go for Samsung. It sounds slightly better. Likewise, with the ultra-wide-angle lens too, Samsung allows recordings up to 4K 30fps, while Realme limits the X7 Pro to just 1080p 30fps. Anyways, moving on to the battery, the Galaxy A72 gives you a bigger 5000 mAh cell, while the X7 Pro settles for a smaller 4500 mAh unit. With the bigger battery and 90Hz refresh rate, you will be able to get slightly better endurance with the A72. However, the Realme X7 Pro gets a much faster 65-watt fast charging that takes the battery from 0 to 100% in just 35 minutes, while Samsung's 25-watt charger requires more than twice the time to juice up. Since these two are premium mid-range phones, both of them also feature a stereo speaker setup with really good audio quality. However, the audio from the Realme X7 Pro sounds louder and fuller. As for the haptics motor, Realme's feedback is more subtle and feels nice, whereas A72's haptics feels slightly cheap. Although Samsung gives you an option to change the intensity of the vibration, even in the lowest setting, it feels like too much. Okay, time for the moment of truth, and based on my findings, the Realme X7 Pro comes off as a better value for money as it is cheaper than the Galaxy A72, yet it provides a superior screen, faster performance, and excellent audio and haptics. The A72, on the other hand, delivers good looks, slightly better camera quality, and better software support. But if you compare the popularity and sales figures of these two phones, they vary a lot. In fact, the Galaxy A72 outsells the X7 Pro by quite a good margin, and although it sounds quite surprising, I think it is ultimately because of Realme's incompetence and Samsung's excellent marketing campaigns that have led to this outcome. First off, Realme did not create enough hype for the X7 Pro as much as they should have. They launched this phone in China back in September of 2020, only to launch the phone 3 to 4 months later in India. Likewise, at a time when Realme needs more people to talk about their premium phones, there seem to be very little unboxing and review videos in comparison to the Galaxy A72. For a company that wants to do well in the premium and flagship segment, Realme certainly could have done better. And speaking of premium phones, the company also announced Realme GT and the GT Neo recently, which look quite good on paper. But their launch roadmap is unclear and ambiguous. So my suggestion to Realme is, instead of focusing and losing energy and resources on some rebranded Narzo phones, maybe you could look at how good prospects you have in the premium mid-range segment and how the Realme X7 Pro failed in its category despite having superior specs than the Galaxy A72. So that was our detailed comparison of the Samsung Galaxy A72 and the Realme X7 Pro. Next up, we're working on a detailed comparison between the Galaxy A52 and the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max. So do not forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon to never miss out any update. Till then, I'm Pratima Adhikari and thank you so much for watching.